Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to be doing the final update to the popular video series about my feminist niece demands that I pay for her gender studies degree. And this is, I gotta tell you guys, I didn't plan on doing an additional final update here, but this guy sent this in about the more turmoil going on with his family and his crazy a-hole niece Clara that I know a lot of you guys have become borderline addicted to find out what's going on. So he wrote this in. I wanted to give you the updates, and he went into detail about her mother, because he mentioned the previous story, a previous email, that her mother has a history in and itself, which obviously led to her bad parenting and obviously the way Clara, his niece, acts. Now, as a quick recap, because it's probably been a week since then, this all started out because this guy, he does done well for himself in life. He's wealthy. And as a gift to the children in his family, nieces and nephews and children, he'll pay for their college degrees if they choose something sensible. And they all agreed to that throughout their different, as they all went off to school. But his recently turned 18 niece at a family gathering has become a raving, whatever you want to call it, effeminist. And she started disrespecting him in front of the whole family because she should be able to major in gender studies, and he should pay for her to study abroad and pay for her lodging and travel expenses. In other words, your stereotypical entitled asshole 18-year-old of today's world. And where do they get that way from? From their asshole parents raising them to be that way, amongst observations of other things in society. And of course, she's a raging effeminist. He was on the... wasn't sure how to handle it. He wrote into me telling me a story. I told him do not pay for her to go to school there for that worthless degree, because if you do, all the other kids that you made them major in something sensible will lose respect for you. And of course, the way she treated you, nobody should ever tolerate kids doing that. Absolutely. He followed my advice. Second story, he pretty much said to her, I'm not paying for you at all. At best, you'll get 25% if you pay for yourself and major something worthwhile, and then and get a major attitude adjustment. Well, and then video number 3, she staged a protest in front of his house and destroyed what she thought was his car with all her effeminist friends, and it turned out to be somebody else's car. She got arrested, all her friends. Now she's potentially going to have a criminal record, blah, blah, blah. And there's all this turmoil in the family and all that. And I made it clear, to have nothing to do with this girl anymore. Do not fund 1 penny or €1, wherever you're from, currency of her education. Have nothing to do with them, because they're a bunch of assholes. Now we are on to the final update here with the adventures of his a-hole niece Clara, and as well as the family, and also some info on her mom. So, he says, hello once again, SSM. I know I sent out my final update last week, but due to your viewers wanting to know my sister's story, I'm writing you one final time. Also, to give somewhat of closure of sorts, I shall also inform you what happened with Clara. It's not really an update between me and her anymore, it's between our family now. Well, there is plenty of drama in this guy's update, so I'm sure the viewers here will most certainly enjoy every bit of it. He says here, long story short, our family is now a mess. Her ideology, of which she has claimed to be progressive and unifying, has torn our family into pieces. Well, that's usually how it goes. And someone like her would say, oh, well, creation is messy. Before I start, let me once again, for the final time, give you my apologies if you see any errors in the email about English, blah, blah, blah. Dude, your English is damn good. In fact, man, your English is better than people that write into me that are English or in America, so no problem. Now, he's going to give a breakdown to his relatives and who they are, but we all know who they are at this point, so I'll just skip that. He says, as a short epilogue, I had a discussion with my eldest sister, Anne, and my daughter just yesterday, and this is what I found out. I have not spoken to Claire or her mother since I've written. Here is what happened recently. Clara's mother is his sister. So apparently Claudia, Clara's mom, has pleaded with Mila and Anne to fund her daughter's degree at the University of Copenhagen just before Clara gave my house a visit. In other words, the protest and the damage to property. Anne was extremely disgusted about the events that transpired and flat refused and instead offered to pay her for her therapist or counselor. Glad to hear Anne was disgusted by Clara's behavior. Mila, on the other hand, gave in and pledged to pay for Clara's studies and board. Smack. So your dumbass female relatives are going to just let her get away with it and pay for her to go to school. After all this disrespect and bad behavior, what do you think that's going to do to Clara's attitude? That's going to show her I can say and do whatever I want, and somebody's always going to take care of me, and I can get away with it. That's what her attitude is going to be if your family members decide they're just going to pay for her to go to school, go against what you want to do just to appease her and bring peace to the family. What in human history has appeasement to a bully, an aggressor, an asshole ever worked? Never. If you don't believe me, look up a dude named Neville Chamberlain and those assholes from Germany in the 1930s. That might give you a clue about appeasement to an aggressor or an asshole. Anyhow, Anne tried to argue with Mila, but according to her, paying for Clara's tuition will fix the family and resolve all conflicts. No, it won't. It'll just make things worse with that girl. Mila and her husband did not have to pay for their daughter's tuition fees, so they have a lot of extra money and probably be able to fully support Clara's studies. They have that extra money because you, the dude that wrote this in, paid for their kids to go to school as a gift to them. Now they have this extra money, and as a thank you to you, they're going to pay for this girl who started all this bullshit. That's real nice. Yeah, when it comes to money and family, doesn't mix. Oil and water. However, due to Clara's actions, she may not be able to get her application accepted into the university or get a student visa if the police report somehow evolves into a criminal record. Well, let's all take a moment of silence and pray that she does get a criminal record and get what she deserves. Okay, that's the moment of silence. As it stands now, the police report that was filed is only for insurance company affiliated with the S-Class Mercedes owner. That's the car she wrecked. This leads me to suspect that Claudia must have contacted me to hopefully ensure the police report does not label Clara as a criminal, so there will be no problems in her college application. She and her friends trashed this car, destroyed property, and trespassing, amongst other things. She deserves to get what's coming to her, because if it was anybody else, it would happen to them. Why should she get special treatment? But because she's a girl, or because she's special, as unfortunately her generation has been led to believe by schools and their families and all that. What happened to the strong, empowered woman? Well, as you can expect, Maria and Grace are furious with their mother for tolerating Clara's behavior, but Mila has assured them that Clara will forgive everyone in this whole incident and it'll all be water under the bridge. Who gives a crap if the asshole 18-year-old forgives everyone? Why is everybody appeasing this stupid 18-year-old? Seriously, this again the problem of this era, where the parents have literally get down on their hands and knees and appease the kids. My grandparents, I guarantee, if they saw how the kids are today, they're rolling in their graves. My grandmother was a hard ass. I loved her very much, but she didn't take any shit. Hell, my dad's turning in his grave. My dad was too old to observe what was going on before he passed away. My dad, by the way, I've mentioned this before, my dad passed away in 2019. He was 97. I'm of a second family. My dad, God, had me in his 50s. Okay? And so, but obviously in the last decade before he died, he wasn't very observant to what was going around with the kids, and why would he, you know? But, anyhow. It says here, Mila wouldn't budge on the topic, and this led to Maria and Grace blocking their mother on social media and the phone until she changes her stance. Mila, however, believes that this will eventually come around. She has also contacted me to inform me of her decision, but I told her that if she was going to tolerate Clara's behavior, even after all this, that I would also go into low contact with her. Yeah, bro, don't have anything to do with her at all. All these people that are backing up your a-hole niece, I wouldn't talk to them. And she's the one that's tearing the family apart. This spoiled jackass. It's unbelievable. And let me tell you guys, if this girl gets her way, I mean, she's bad enough now. But if she ends up not getting a criminal record for her criminal actions with the damage to the car and trespassing and all that, and the other family members fund her going to school, imagine her in 5 years or 10 years, the way she's going to be. I mean, and she's just going to get more trouble and expect people to bail her out. That'll be her attitude. She'll be more disrespectful to everybody. Good Lord, she'll be up in front of the UN just like that brat Greta Thunberg, you know, saying, "How dare you?" to the patriarchy. She'll probably take off one of her combat boots and start banging the microphone like Khrushchev or something. I'm waiting for it. Don't give in to this girl. Anne feels the same way I do, and she and I spoke for hours about this conflict, and has given me support through all these times. She also called Clara's personally to try to discuss her mental issues and problems. What Clara did was called her bigoted and a culturally insensitive, weak woman who bows down to the patriarchy. Listen how this girl talks to her aunt. Again. And her issues, it's not mental issues, it's just that she's a spoiled asshole. That's what it is. It's easier for family to say, oh, this child has mental issues and put some label on it, than to actually accept that, guess what, their kid or their niece is actually a piece of crap, right? Nowadays, everybody has some kind of label, and therefore they feel they can be excused from consequences of their actions. That's the problem. In turn, Anne called her an ugly, I can't even say this on here, an ugly P-word, D-Y-K-E. And he says, not sure if he can say that on YouTube. No, I can't. Which led to Clara blocking her and making a video, then posting it online, calling her aunt out. Of course, that's what they do. I wish I was joking, but at this point my life seems to have turned into a really bad American TV show. Yeah, pretty much, man. Well, I think it's time to cut ties with all these people and move on with your life. That's what I think. Other than that, nothing else has happened. Well, that's quite a bit, my man. The children are with me and Anne, while Mila is with Claudia and Clara. Our family is fractured, and I fear that our reunion from last January might be our last as a whole family, which saddens me. I just wish that family values and respect were still important in today's world, instead of whatever nonsense that Clara has been indoctrinated to. It is unfortunate. There are no values anymore. It's ridiculous. It's like when everybody got their own... it's like because of social media, and everybody got to have an audience, now everybody acts like jackasses to show off and get attention to themselves and all that. From everyday ordinary people to politicians. It's unbelievable. You didn't do anything wrong, man. It's their fault, not yours. You got to understand that. Also, in case you and your viewers want me to somehow stop Claire from going to the University of Copenhagen, I don't think there's much I can do anymore. If the police report gets resolved once Claire pays the insurance company for damages, then she's free to go off to Denmark to study. If not, then she needs to serve community service or some other punishment that a court may give, then go to Denmark and study. I'd love to see her do community service, picking up trash and the orange jumpsuits on the side of the road. That'd be hilarious. Her orange jumpsuit can match her orange hair. Mila has been adamant that she will pay for Claire's tuition to fix the family, and if her daughters cannot convince her, then I fare no better. I'm just frustrated that a stupid ideology could break apart my family, but I'm grateful that you and your viewers took the time to show me your support and give advice. For that, I'm truly grateful. Now on to the story of Claudia. Now here we go with the story of Claudia, Clara's mom. Clara's mom, who's an asshole, that raised her daughter to be an asshole. And you're going to see some things here that, to no surprise, well, I don't want to reveal too much. It says Claudia's story. I just want to make one thing clear for this. This happened years ago, around the late 90s, early 2000s. It's been a long while since this story, but I still remember most parts of what my late wife June told me, and also the multiple times that Claudia has retold this over the years. Claudia and Jacob married young around the time when Claudia was only 19. Yeah, real smart. Get married at 19. What could possibly go wrong with two people getting married when they're 19 years old? This isn't the 40s anymore. It, according to her, was true love, and Jacob was the man of her dreams. Jacob was a wealthy man who came from a family of lawyers, but instead he chose to become a pilot and served for the Spanish Air Force, then eventually became a pilot for a commercial airline. He provided a comfortable and pampered life for Claudia and Marcus. Marcus is the son. He was hardworking, and during the end of the 90s, he was offered an opportunity to make more money, but had to work almost every day of the year for 3 years. Claudia had pushed him to take the opportunity, so he did, and at first everything was fine for the most part. And I believe this has meant that this guy, this father, and his sister's first husband, was off overseas doing work. However, Claudia said she grew bored as she had nothing to do and no one to spend time with. Marcus had nannies and caretakers to take care of all of his needs. Meanwhile, Claudia had a lot of spare time. Claudia kept telling my wife June and my other sisters about how Jacob just left her and Marcus and how she was depressed and neglected. Wait a second here. She's the one that told her husband to go work, and that can help the family. But now she's bored and blaming him because she's bored, nothing to do, whatever. Meanwhile, she has nannies taking care of her kid. Sounds like your sister, at a young age, around similar to Clara's age, is a spoiled asshole. Imagine that. The acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. Even though she was the one who pushed him to take the offer, see, she would counter that if Jacob had truly loved her, then he would decline the offer and be with her right now. What a load of crap. No accountability. It got to a boiling point where Claudia would just be angry every time anyone saw her. Again, the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree, because Clara is now angry all the time about everything, right? When Jacob came back, he was immediately hit with separation and divorce papers and was completely blindsided. He tried to reconcile, but just met with silence on Claudia's end, and even though we preferred that they stay together, Claudia pushed for the divorce. Imagine that. Remember the whole true love thing at 19 years old? According to Clara, she was screwed in the divorce due to Jacob's family influencing their divorce proceedings. Of course, Clara sees it that way. She was still awarded with alimony, though she complained that she should have gotten more. She's the reason it ended. And many financial benefits, however, she had to leave her home and split custody with Jacob. Now, this is the part where the story gets confusing and contradictory. Claudia announced that she and her new boyfriend, Chad, good name, were expecting just 2 weeks after the divorce. Clara was born 7 months later. Claudia swears it was premature birth. However, June suspects an affair. You bet your ass it was an affair. In other words, when her original husband, the good man, was off working, she was having a relationship with Clara's Chatter Tyrone baby daddy. June had told me that she saw Chad frequently when visiting Claudia. He would always have the excuse of fixing her plumbing or doing handiwork. Well, he was doing handiwork, but not the type of handiwork that you traditionally get paid for. However, Chad did not look like a repairman and would sometimes bring flowers instead of a toolkit. To this day, Clyde denies this fact. However, the only people who can confirm are Chad and June, and they are both gone. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for giving me your time, SSM, and I hope you and your viewers swell in 2022. This will be my final email, but I will still read the comments. Thank you again. So I want to add to his story here, because in the previous video he said that Clara's father, this dude that he's referred to as Chad, the second Clara was born, took off, left her mom with Clara. So it's interesting that the raving effeminist, years later, her father was a Chad, and the second she was born, he headed off into the sunset for another stupid girl. Isn't that interesting? So it shows here that Clara's mother, who I've been saying all along is an asshole, and raised her daughter to be an asshole. There you go. She was an asshole wife. She had behavior similar to Clara around that same age. Very interesting. This is where she gets it from. Okay, now Clara is her own woman now, a strong, empowered 18-year-old woman who's responsible for her actions. But it's always interesting to see how you can have a parent behave a certain way and people are shocked when the kids act that way. But anyhow, to the guy who wrote this, I appreciate your stories. It's very, aside from the fact that it was interesting and entertaining to all of us, also showed us the state of how things are in this world with the feminist movement and how it just poisons the mind of these young gals. But she made her bed, she's going to lie in it. And there's nothing you can do. If your other relatives are going to fund her going off to school after all this shit, thinking it's going to fix things, you can't do anything about it. I wouldn't talk to them, to be honest with you. And it's a shame you feel like your family's being torn apart, but you didn't do anything wrong. They did. So my opinion, you back away completely. Have nothing to do with them. Fuck them. Because believe me, people get sucked into so much crap because of family. And it's like, oh, it's family, blah, blah, blah. No. If they're bringing turmoil into your life and holding you back, get rid of them. Just spend your time with the people that support you and don't bring turmoil into your life, okay? So the kids and the family members that have your back, they're your family now. Really. It's not the end of the world. And we'll see what happens to Clara one day down the road. See if she's up there with that brat Greta telling everybody, how dare you, in front of the UN or something down the road. We'll just see if that happens. Again, banging her combat boot on the microphone like Khrushchev. Something like that. But great story. But guys, this is a perfect example about what happens when somebody treats you with disrespect. You call them on it. You don't tolerate any shit ever. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think about this. Let him know that he should back away completely, and amongst other things. And guys, if you happen to have a great story you'd like to share with me about your personal life, things you've gone through, whatever it is that relates to things I talk about on this channel, email it to me. Write out well, good detail, and I'll definitely cover it down the road if it works for the channel, and if I think it will be a good one. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.